All right, good afternoon, everyone. Afternoon. I'm just waiting for Doreen to sit down. When you're ready, Doreen. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that. Thank you very much, so many of you, for sticking around. A couple of points. I know there's a train at 10:24. I have been informed. We will be finished and out of here by 22:04 at the latest. You will make the train. Who's shouting half three, half three? Half three? Couldn't see who was shouting. Is that you? We'll aim for it. We'll do our best. So I can't guarantee half past. Okay, just a couple of quick changes also in the presentations this afternoon in our snapshots before I hand over. Unfortunately, the first presentation was going to be Fiona Fraser. Fiona wasn't able to join us today because she's not well, so that was not going to go ahead. And number 3 is actually, I'm delighted to say, Sara Dixon, who is here from the Borders, who's going to speak about the Deteriorating Patient Project. And also a name change. Number 7, My Remote, it's actually going to be Leslie Beath who does the presentation today. So without any further ado, anything else I need to say? No, I'm going to hand back over to Ferg.
Okay, guys, all the speakers, just to let you know that because she wants away at 3:30, you're only getting 2 minutes for your presentation. Okay, sphincter tightening? Yeah, that's okay. You're getting the 5 minutes. But that helps me get into that. So the rules are exactly the same. Even though we've got less presentations, the morning people got 5 minutes, you're getting 5 minutes, okay? So you get 5 minutes, you get the big red green finger, and then it'll be a loud noise to stop you, okay? So keep to time. So we'll just get started now. And so first up is Liz Watt from my end of the world, Telecare in Aberdeen, 2016. Okay, Liz.
Thank you. As Ferg said, my name is Liz Watt. I work for Bonaccord Care, which is an arm's length trading company of Aberdeen City Council, and we run the Telecare service in Aberdeen. I just want to give a brief overview of the project that we've been funded for in the last year through tech funding. Okay, got it. The objectives in us applying for funding were to increase the number of people who were benefiting from Telecare, to ensure that Telecare was an integral part of all assessments, especially in the acute sector, and to expand the work that we were doing in the housing sector, making sure that the sheltered housing blocks were fully technology-enabled systems in place, and linking with the Adapting for Change demonstrator site. So there were 2 main work streams. One was the acute sector and one was community capacity, which again linked in with the Adapting for Change demonstrator site. The acute sector was chosen because in the year prior, the referrals that we'd received from the acute sector, there were only 3 that didn't come from occupational therapists. And we thought this spoke volumes, that we needed to be out there raising the awareness. So in the acute sector, we employed 2 occupational therapists to provide training and awareness sessions and undertake special assessments within this sector. They've worked closely with the discharge teams and the older people's teams in the hospital, and attended multidisciplinary team meetings on a regular basis, as well as having a presence on what we have as 3 demonstrator wards, 1 in ARI, 1 in Woodend, and 1 in the psychiatric hospital at Cornhill. And we've another 3 wards scheduled to come on stream very soon. We've provided mobile kits which can be used throughout the hospital, and all important, we've developed a very short screening tool which the acute sector staff can utilise, and we're rolling that out into other sectors as well. Our first attempt at raising awareness was this poster. There are over 100 of these posters around the hospitals in Aberdeen, so you hopefully can't miss them. And they've been received really well. In community capacity, again, the occupational therapists were working with the housing sector, and we've been doing a pilot with a private over 55s housing scheme in Aberdeen, which had no system in place at all to call for any assistance. So that's been a really positive part of the programme. There was a new Alzheimer's Dementia Resource Centre opening at the same time. So we have been involved very closely with them. We've kit in place in the resource centre, and the OTs are doing monthly awareness sessions there. We've also been working with the interim and respite beds throughout the city, and we've developed quite an extensive training package. Our outcomes were to increase the number of people benefiting from telecare, and we really feel we're showing a sizable increase. To support hospital discharges again, and to increase the referral rate by 100%, which by the end of the year project we feel we're on course to do. Increase the number of professionals who have an understanding of telecare and make them aware of this throughout their assessments. And to date, we've trained and had awareness sessions for over 1,000 people. And we want to demonstrate really efficient asset management within the sector. And to that end, we've now employed a storeman in the store because the telecare team are based within the community equipment store. So to date, we've increased the referral rate from the first half of the project to the second half by 75%. The equipment's all in the wards and working, and we've done loads of presentations throughout the city. And we've over 40 GPS devices in use in the city, which has proven really beneficial and has made a huge difference. As I said, our asset management is well in place. We've got 2 projects with Grampian Housing Association, and we're working closely with the Adapting for Change site. And just a quick story from yesterday is an OT phoned the department, and she said she'd seen a man outside with a buddy, and she'd taken him in. She only realised it was a buddy because of the awareness sessions that had happened in the hospital. And this man had his buddy because his daughter had been at one of the sheltered housing demonstrations which had taken place. So it's just, there's been problems, don't get me wrong. We've had problems getting through to some of the staff, but I think we've made huge inroads, and I think we're at a really exciting part in the project now and just really getting going, so we've got some funding.
Thanks very much, Liz. Excellent, as ever. Okay, so our next speaker is Sara Dickinson from the Borders, and you're telling us about early warning scores.
Thanks, Ferg. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name's Sara Dixon, as Ferg said. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I work in the GP out-of-hours service in NHS Borders. And I've been seconded to, I'll put the first screen on. Which button is it?
Arrow on the right.
To run this project. And I've been doing that since last July with my colleague, Dr. Nicola Loudon, who's a GP in the GP out-of-hours service as well. I have to be honest, my presentation is going to be a little bit different from everybody else's in that other people have shown you about their telehealth and telecare projects. Ours isn't that, but we're hoping it might develop into that. So I've actually come here to pick your brains. Okay, so next screen. This was the original aim of our project, and we're quite well on with that. I'll just let you read that. As I say, the main body of it isn't about telehealth, but we are hoping to expand in that direction. So why did the project come about? Well, the main drivers were that we had patients in community hospitals throughout the Borders, and we've got 4 hospitals, and they're quite geographically spaced. And we found that the monitoring wasn't maybe as good as it could have been, and that we were tending to get patients that had deteriorated at a later stage, and by the time they started looking unwell, the staff started monitoring them, and that was quite a late sign. And what we found was that if we pick up these people earlier, that it would lead to a better outcome and shorter stays in hospital and lower mortality overall. The staff in these community hospitals are also quite isolated. There's usually just one staff nurse on at night. So it's a structured approach for them. Okay. So how did we go about achieving this? We used improvement methodology and small-scale testing. We developed tools in order to collection of baseline data to inform the direction of the project. We started looking at how many admissions come from the community hospitals and how often people were being deteriorating in the community hospitals. The other thing we did was modify the existing National Early Warning Score chart that's been used in the acute setting, and we made that community hospital specific. So that's now being used in 2 of our 4 hospitals. And we developed an assessment tool for the out-of-hours team so that when we go visiting patients out in the community that we're able to detect deterioration earlier. And also a structured review tool which would show how, sorry, I'm not very used to doing this. A one-stop shop basically that would go at the front of the notes that would identify a patient's wishes, should they deteriorate, what we're going to do with them. Do they want to be resuscitated? Do they want to be treated with antibiotics, fluids, everything? So the next steps, which is kind of the relevant bit for here. So we're continuing to train the community hospitals in early detection of deteriorating patients. But what we really want to do is start looking at care homes, residential homes, and people that are untrained in nursing or medicine, so that these people are able to calculate a new score and inform us so that in the out-of-hours service or in the surgery, so that we're able to prioritise that patient's care. With the geographical challenges that we have in the borders, some of our care homes can be an hour and a half away, so actually it's important for us to be able to prioritise the care if a patient actually has a high new score, that we could just send an ambulance rather than wasting time going out to visit them. And that's where you guys come in, because we're kind of a little bit stuck for how to achieve that using telehealth, and we know that's the way forward, but we're just kind of looking at all the options. We're in the early stages of that now. So, for any questions or feedback, please scribble down our email addresses. Oh, thank goodness.
Well done, Sarah. Coming in at the last minute and under the kind of pressure that I exert from the front row. Well done. Good. Our next speaker is Beth Murphy, who I can't pressurise at all because she used to work for us. So we got Beth's going to speak about One Digital.
Hi everybody. That's a hard act to follow. The first 2 speakers have been completely on time, so I'll try and do the same. My name's Beth. I now work with the digital participation team at SCVO. We're the umbrella body for all the third sector organisations in Scotland. And we do a lot of work around digital participation and helping people to get online. We believe, as I'm sure all of you do, that the internet is for everyone, and that it's not okay that the internet's becoming another way of people being excluded from society. So we're doing lots of work to try and help get more people online and get organisations using digital more effectively. We've got a couple of key things that we try to do as part of the team. So on one side, we're trying to increase digital participation in Scotland. And so for us, that's about, citizens, end users, whatever terminology you want to use, people that don't have basic digital skills, acquiring those skills and feeling more confident. And then the other part of our work is really about the capability of the third sector, so the organisations that we work with and that we support, and getting them to run more efficiently and more effectively and to use digital as part of their everyday services. When we talk about digital, we use a kind of common definition of basic digital skills. This is something that we share with lots of other kind of digital inclusion charities and organisations. It covers 5 key things, so being able to do things in all 5 of these areas classes you as having basic digital skills. So being able to search for information, being able to retrieve it again, being able to store things in the cloud, being able to communicate, social media, emails, all of those types of things. Transacting, so it could be applying for a job, it could be booking your GP appointment online, those types of activities. Problem solving, going on YouTube, finding out how to put up a shelf, or other sort of problems that you might have in your life and using digital to help with that. And then finally, creating. So that's less about, taking information from the internet, but also being able to create and put information back on. So whether that's blogging or creating a video, audio, all that type of thing. As the SQA said earlier on today, we know that these are the basic digital skills. We also know that lots of people in Scotland don't have them. So it's about 1 in 8 adults. That's about 800,000 people across Scotland. And for us, concerningly, about half of all charities and a quarter of all SMEs still lack these basic digital skills. So the people who don't have them also, unfortunately, tend to be people who are excluded from society in other ways. So lower socioeconomic groups, people living in social housing, older people, those types of categories. So what are we doing about it? We're recognising there's no way that one organisation can have overcome this challenge. So on behalf of the Scottish Government, we run a thing called the Digital Participation Charter. How many of your organisations have signed this? Can I do a quick show of hands in the room? We've got a few, yeah? Not as many as we need. So the idea with this is that we get lots of organisations to sign up to the Charter to make a commitment to do work around digital participation. If you're from a project that's already involved in telehealth and telecare and digital tech, then you're already doing this. So it would be great to have you as another signatory in the Charter. You can see the commitments here. In addition to the commitments, we've got a platform where people can share what they're doing. So we've got things like the SQA resources on there. We're trying to link up opportunities and people that need support. So there's a platform that sits behind it. The project that I'm working on, which I wanted to talk to you about today, is called One Digital. So this is a project where we're working with a number of other organisations across the UK, and we're using an approach which is about trusted intermediaries. So we're recognising that lots of the people who aren't online know about the internet, obviously, so there's other reasons why they're not getting online. Often, people not knowing what they don't know, thinking there's nothing on there for them, people being scared about the security risks and so on. So we're identifying trusted people in local communities that can pass on digital skills, that we can enthuse about digital and get them to work with people that don't have the skills and to pass them on. For us as SCVO, that means third sector organisations. So we're out and about across the country. We've been delivering a programme of different types of activity. 2 which are sort of training activities. So one called Making Digital Work, which is really focused on the skills and the capacities of the organisations. So we're helping third sector organisations to use things like MailChimp or Office 365 or various different tools that can help them to run more effectively. We're also then training up their staff and their volunteers so that they can pass digital skills on to the people that they support. And the final stream, which is really exciting, is working with chief executives and with trustees to try and get them thinking about digital transformation. And we've been doing introductions to people like Uber and Skyscanner and some of the big tech companies so that charities can begin to think about actually digital isn't just a way of communicating via social media. It could be so much more and it could offer us so much more. That's a whirlwind through. There's my contact details. It would be great to hear from you. If you've not signed the Charter, please come and find us. I was hoping I'd be on in the morning. I could say come and speak to us at lunchtime. Take down, if you're not on Twitter, you can get your digital skills up and tweet me. And it would be lovely to be more involved with some of the organisations in the room. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Beth. Spot on. Good. Okay, our next speaker is Simon Blood from EIO Technologies, who's going to speak to us about emergency information online. Okay, Simon.
Hi everyone, my name's Simon Blood and I'm here to talk about the EIO card. It's a smart card, it contains technology inside of it, which hopefully I'll be able to explain a few of its benefits. It was created by EIO Technologies, which we formed in November 2015 after a family member's admission to hospital. Essentially, it's a secure, affordable and simple way to carry medical information, prescription lists, allergies, emergency contact details and much more. And we're adapting it all the time. Each smart card contains an NFC chip and a unique QR code on the back. When the smart card is held against a smartphone or has the QR code scanned, the profile that's stored appears on the smartphone screen, so it's ideal for first responders. We've kept the price low. At the minute, it's £4.99, but obviously a wholesale price is cheaper, so as many as possible can benefit from it. It's able to assist anyone who may find it difficult to remember or vocalise their personal information in a given situation. It provides peace of mind for carers or family members. It can allow continuity of care in the community, for example, within a pharmacy or in a home care setting. Improving patient safety is a potential of this, reducing hospital admissions and reducing the time taken to receive appropriate treatment. The target audience for this is anyone, especially those who may be vulnerable or living with medical conditions such as dementia, diabetes, epilepsy, cardiovascular problems, and much more. Benefits: it's instantly accessible information in an emergency. It's more secure than written information. It's waterproof, unlike the card with written information, as proven when it went through the wash when my wife put it through my jeans. The patient does not require a new card if they need to update information. It's affordable for the patient and it's easily accessible for the first responder. One of the stories so far from it is in February 2016. Someone contacted us to tell us that they bought a card because their parent fell in a supermarket and the parent had dementia, found it really difficult to transmit details. It took over 4 hours to ring around care homes and so on to get information. If they had one of these cards, it would have been quick and simple and straightforward. Challenges so far is awareness of the product. That's one of the difficult things we've found. We've used social media campaigns, we've notified ambulance trusts. It's a constant campaign, and obviously funding to promote the product and grow awareness is an issue there as well. One other challenge is the misconception that you need to know stuff about technology. You don't. Other people can set up the card and put it in the wallet of the carer or the person who needs care. Once the profile is set up online, then the smart card just needs to be carried. A lot of people are saying you don't need a smart card if you don't have medical issues, but it's ideal for carrying emergency contacts, identification. Feedback so far is really positive, that it's meeting the proposed objectives, working with organisations who are using the card to benefit the community, as well as to raise awareness of the benefits. Pharmacies are beginning to stock the card as well. We're looking to work with any organisation who recognise that the smart card could benefit their service as well. We're looking at pilots and trials if anyone's interested with the card. And the next step is to continue to raise awareness and refine our database at the back end to meet people's needs as well. We're quite open, we're flexible to see where we're going with this. In terms of feedback, questions, thoughts and ideas, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, emails there as well. Or catch us for a chat after the presentation, or simply chuck us an email as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Simon. Okay, second last presentation is from Lisa McInnes. He's going to tell us about streaming video to augment decision support for the SAS treating COPD and out-of-hospital cardiac arrest in Edinburgh. Should get that right as an ED consultant, shouldn't I, really?
Thanks, Great. Well, good afternoon. I'm going to take my Save a Life for Scotland hat off just for a wee second. And it's a real pleasure to be able to introduce a project that actually is starting to go live just from next week. My name is Lisa McInnes and I'm a lead research nurse within the Resuscitation Research Group, which runs out of the University of Edinburgh. I have to say as well, this project is fully funded by Chest, Heart and Stroke Scotland, and without their funding, it wouldn't be possible at all. So 5 minutes, here we go. I can't normally introduce myself in 5 minutes, never mind speak. A huge amount of our work within the Resuscitation Research Group is based around something called the chain of survival. And if you've spoken to any of us today about saving lives, you'll know that CPR is the first part of that chain of survival. But there's a huge amount going on within it. And technology is really vital in order to be able to help save lives and better patient outcomes. We work regularly with the Scottish Ambulance Service because a huge amount of our research is pre-hospital. So getting paramedics and getting people working in the community on side is really important for our research, and they're vital for the project that I'm just about to tell you about today. We have some other exciting technology stuff going on in hospital as well, and some of our team are here if you're interested in learning about cameras specifically in resuscitation rooms. We've been using video cameras like this one, which you might often see police wearing, for at least 2 to 3 years now. We put them on paramedics who attend cardiac arrests, and they record the cardiac arrests. And once they're documented, we watch them back And we use the information that we find there for training in technical and non-technical skills. It's been a little bit controversial. It's a very icky subject, cardiac arrest, but actually it's one of the most time-critical things that a paramedic has to deal with. They've got 10 minutes to really see if they can get this right. And actually, it's been recognised as successful. Here's some happy, cheery people. This was pre-drinks. Our group won the BMG Emergency Medicine Team of the Year. The one afterwards I just couldn't possibly share with you. But then it spurred us on. We thought, what can we do with these cameras that will actually help change and shape patients' lives? And with working with the Scottish Ambulance Service and their 2020 vision, how can we maybe use our technology to help patients be cared for in the right place at the right time? And that might mean staying at home and not always coming into hospital. So then we thought, who are the tricky bunch of patients? I'll tell you who's tricky. For anybody who's ever seen a COPD patient, they can be really sick, but actually they're really well that day. And if you're a paramedic who's just been called into a house, it's difficult to know, do I transport this person to hospital or not? But if you live in Edinburgh and you suffer from COPD, phone 999, a paramedic will come to your house and they'll work through something called a pathway, which may allow you to be then referred on to the community respiratory team if actually they think you could stay at home. And currently that's been done by telephone. So what we've done is take a badge, like they were in cardiac arrest, except this is a special one. It live video streams from the patient's house. So they connect up via a MiFi device, which they carry in their pocket. And when they phone the community respiratory team, they are very happy because they've all just been given iPads. It's like Christmas has come early. And they can actually see the patient as well as do the referral. Now, we don't know, will it make a difference? Will it be a nightmare to work with? We simply want to look at the acceptability and the utility of it and start to think outside the box more. What if we could see patients? So I'm thinking about the borders and your community stuff. Actually, what if you could see your patient as well as use your news score? We're going to do that for 6 months, and then we're going to look at what those results are. Does that mean 1 minute, Ferg? Perfect. And we're going to see, can we apply this to our paramedic group who currently wear our cameras for documenting only? We don't really want to start shouting in people's ear or disturbing them during a cardiac arrest attempt. But actually, we do believe that there might be value in this. So for instance, instead of having a lumpy handover in the emergency department about what's been going on in the field, whether that might be a trauma, it might be a car crash, it might be simply somebody who's had a cardiac arrest on Princes Street or Waverley Station. Wouldn't it be great to be able to beam that information so that people are prepared for that patient coming? Maybe the catheterization lab might be ready. So we believe there's lots of utility, but we're just going to try it out with the COPD bunch first and see where we go. Finally, our resuscitation research group, its motto is have fun, save lives and be awesome, or save lives, have fun and be awesome. We believe that everything that we do should look to making patients' lives better, but you have to have fun at the same time. That's one thing I felt from today. You guys are obviously having fun with the technologies that you're using in the healthcare. So I would encourage you to keep going, keep having fun, and keep being awesome at what you're doing. Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate it.
Well done, Lisa. Okay, so our last talk for the afternoon is Leslie Beth, who's stepping in to the gap, I think, speaking about MI remote. Okay, I'll start when you start speaking.
That way. Right. We got funding in Falkirk Council a few years ago from the Joint Improvement Team for a children's piece of equipment rather than adult. And there's a lot of here from adult. There's not as much from children, although we did hear at one point in one of the units about some young people and through the medical side. But this is social care. Our young people obviously don't actually get to stage we can afford to give them environmental controls. It's too expensive. But the vision was we could maybe do that. So we got some funding from both the Children's Service and we produced an app, which was a lot of work. I don't think if I'd realised how much work it was and how much geeky stuff I would have to learn over the next few years we would have done it. But however, we're there, and it's on the market now. And it was really done by our own children and our own families who pulled together. That is a picture of me with some of the kids when we first had a look at the beta version. It says me techily. It was a beta version of it and how we could use it in an activity, as part of an activity scheme with children with disabilities. It was focused on what young people need to give them the skills to actually then go on to use technology, which is what you all want them to be able to do. Now, they can do it, obviously, but using an iPad or various things that can actually do something to somewhere else as opposed to do something when you touch it was slightly different for most of them. And I'll finish with a video because I think you'll be quite tired at the end, and it's quite nice to see a wee person at the end. But there's these are our workers, very excited about working with it. And we've got some children who were working with it who were practicing it. And we had our families involved in how we went about doing it. And so we can access it in the tablet format, and it's actually touch-only as it scans along. It works very similar to if you were going for a communication device. And we designed it specially so that it would actually do that. And the children were involved in it. Now, we were using a helicopter there. It can't do millions of things, but it can move around, and the kids love doing that. So we were playing with that one on it. And for our children in the wheelchairs and various things, it's working wonders. And children who in the past possibly were not really interested in saying too much or getting involved suddenly started to want to access CBBS quite happily and worked out how to do that quite quick. And we had a wee boy, I noticed when we first started, wasn't interested. And we really didn't know where his communication was. But see, once he could work out, he could get onto the WW wrestling, we got there quite quick. So that was us working on some stuff with the kids in the summer. And what I want to do is finish, which is probably the most exciting thing, of watching somebody do it. The wee boy's actually deaf, but you watch out for him. He's got lots of medical issues, he's got lots of physical issues, but watch out when he realises, you know how a remote takes ages to work, but he knows that once he's got that, the telly's going to come on.
Push, push. That's the one. Push, push. That's it. We need to push, push. Let me see. Can you? What can you see?
This allows strawberry concoction.
Probably is right. Toes down. I don't give up either. My feelings through.
The actual jump between actually making the iPad do something, which kids can do quite happily, and actually making the iPad make a result on your world was the thing we wanted to do for the youngest of the children, and it's beginning to work. So we've got it set up. It's actually got a component to it now that has a story component, and you can build your own story into it as well. So we have worked with a respite unit that's looking towards the idea of maybe getting it individualised so that when the kids come to them, it's set up that that's the ones that they want to in their world, in their environment, because it works when it's infrared, and it's very easy to program. If you've got any kind of knowledge of an iPad or something like that, you could do it.
Right, good. Well, thank you very much. My personal thanks to all of the speakers for keeping to time. And could you join me in thanking them all for their presentations, please? Okay, I can go back into being nice clinician mode now. So I'm going to go home. Nessa, over to you.
I just wanted to very briefly say, we don't normally do this because we're all skint and tight and mean. But Ferg, I think, was on call last night. He was certainly awake half of the night. And then he came down and he chaired the snapshots this morning. Then he did a workshop to Adelaide. Then he facilitated a workshop with Steve. And then he came back and did the snapshots this afternoon. So thank you very much, Ferg. This is your gift.
Actually, I did have another tool if things had gone really bad. So that would stop you speaking. Anyway, thank you very much.
We all have our drug of choice, and that is first. I'm not going to take questions unless anyone has got a burning point to make, simply because, well, we don't particularly, but I know you're hot and probably a bit tired, and people need to get trains. So I'm going to hand over to George Crooks, our boss, the man in charge, who's looking at me as if to say, all right then.
Great, thanks very much. You can applaud at the end. Don't feel you have to applaud when I get up. Thank you. Half-hearted, but you've won the prize. The good news is you will make the 3:30. I was going to talk for 40 minutes, but I'm really only going to talk for 3. And the first thing I do is I always embarrass Nessa, and I'm going to do it once again. The only reason that this event happens is through force of personality and the grit and determination that Nessa Barry puts into this. And she does it every year, and she does it remarkably well. And I think you would all agree this year has been no exception. Nessa, thank you once again. But most importantly, I want to thank all of you. We've had over 210 people at the event here today. And the only reason that Scotland is at the forefront of the delivery of technology-enabled care, telehealth and telecare, whatever words you want to use, is because of your grit and determination, driving forward the agenda when sometimes people don't listen to you, taking things forward because it's the right thing to do for our service users, for our patients, for our carers, because we know they need services that empower them to stay in their own communities, that they don't feel talked down to, that they don't feel that they're being done unto. Because technology, if it is deployed appropriately and set in a setting that people, as we've just heard from some of the presentations, can understand and they can relate to, can be incredibly empowering. More empowering than a carer or a district nurse visiting and doing something to you. It can be liberating if used appropriately. But for it to work, we need to spread the word. So everyone here does need to go out there and does need to evangelize. And that's why, once again, at the end of this year, the week beginning the 28th of November, we're going to have a Digital Healthcare and Innovation Week, where we'll be focusing across the whole week in Scotland on this agenda. And what we would like to do is not simply have 2 or 3 national events, which we will have throughout the week, and my team will be actively engaged in doing an awful lot of that. But I'd like to ask you to think now about what you can do in your own organisation, in your own locality, in your own area, your own health board, your own local authority or integrated joint board setting during that week that would make things special and relevant to the people you serve and the people you work alongside and those who make the management and investment decisions. If you've got a new service launching, if you've got some piece of news round about that time, why don't you package it up and make that announcement during that week? Because we're looking to engage actively with the press across Scotland to do something special. In Scotland, we take for granted what we do. But what you will have heard today, particularly those of you who've been exposed to some of the international sessions, is people look at Scotland with jealousy. They recognise that we're at the cutting edge, but boy, looking around this audience, sometimes being at the cutting edge is a real pain in the butt, day in, day out, when you feel you're banging your head against the wall once again to try to get something that should be really simple move forward that extra inch. And that's why events like this are really important, where like-minded people from across health, social care, housing, the third sector and so on can all come together for a therapeutic moment, not so much the quality of the sandwiches, but for that interaction, for that sharing, because it's through sharing the pain becomes less and the train comes ever closer. Thank you all very much, colleagues, for participating in the event and once again making this a huge success. And we'll see you all again at the end of the year. Thank you.